Hello there, and welcome to another video. And today we're going to be doing some painting, digital painting, or as I like to call it, paintography. Um, it's very easy to do. In fact, a lot of people think it's quite difficult. It's not. It's a relatively straightforward process. But I'll run down one or two things of how it all works. Here's a picture that I've recently finished, one I made earlier. I'm going to switch to what I started with, which is this image here. Now, the way this works, basically, it's Photoshop manipulates all the individual pixels. Let's go back to I painted, and it twists and bends each individual pixel to give you these nice, weird, and wonderful shapes and effects. Um, Now, in a Photoshop a long time ago, photo version 3 or 4, you used to be able to download uh, independent filters, which you go to your filter menu here, and you could add filters from third parties. And there used to be one that was called Pixel Bender. Now, in their wisdom, Photoshop, as they brought out new incarnations, and it could have been version 4, I can't remember, but they no longer supported this third-party Pixel Bender. And a lot of people got upset about this, and rather than reintroduce it, they thought, we'll do our own version, and they then called it oil paint. So you can no longer download this Pixel Bender, which was really brilliant. A lot of people really loved it, and I used it for a while. That's how I first found out about doing this. Um, and that's what it actually did. Like I just mentioned, it actually manipulates individual pixels. Now I'll explain one of the processes in a moment why I do that. But if you go to the filter now, filter menu, if you scroll down to stylize, to the right you'll see oil paint. That is what we'll be using. So what I'm going to do is we'll start an image now. Oh yeah, one thing I will mention first. Now it is quite a intensive process on memory. Now if you try and do work on an image larger than 3,000 pixels, it tends to be rather slow and cumbersome. So I never really do anything over 3,000 pixels, or 2,000 is my preferred size, which is plenty big enough. I'm talking pixels here, but it probably runs over. To give you an idea, let's go back to our original size, which is this one. If I go on to image size, the full size, as you can see there on the width, it's 6,000 pixels. That's because I'm using a 24 megabyte camera on this picture. In relative terms, if I click on inches, it's probably something you probably visualize better. It's 20 inches, so it's nearly 2 foot across the full size image. So you can imagine trying to manipulate all the pixels on a 2,000 foot, a 2 foot wide image. So switching back to pixels, so I reduce that down to a 2000 one, which is there. If I click on image size, you can see I've already reduced it down to 2000, and that's what we work with. So, but the first thing you do is find the picture you want to work on, do all your basic editing and get it finished to more or less how you want it finished, the lighting and the contrast, the colours and all the rest of it, and then get it down, save a copy. What I tend to do, if you look here, I'll put in brackets 2000, so that tells me straight away it's the smaller of my images as opposed to just being a copy. So that's what I do. Right, now the next thing you do, which explains a little bit why we do it, I'll tell you. You go to filter, scroll down, and you go to sharpen more. Now you see straight away what that's done. It's suddenly gone bing. Now you remember when I mentioned about it works on individual pixels. So by clicking on sharpen more, what you're actually doing is you're highlighting all the individual pixels that little bit more. You're sharpening the edges so that when it comes to do its magic, if you like, it can find those edges and you get a better, more lines. It's difficult to explain, but I think you get the gist of what I'm on about. So you go on, you sharpen the image more. So anyway, we're going to close that because we're not going to work on this image that I worked on. I've actually borrowed an image off somebody else, and if that person watches this video, which I'm sure she will, she'll probably think, what? But I've borrowed it, and I'm sure she won't mind because she'll find it probably easier to follow. The image we're going to work on is this one, beautiful retriever. As you can see, looking at it, it's a lovely image. She takes fantastic images. It looks like it's got a bit of a vignette around it, which is great because it's probably something I'm going to be adding even more to later on. But what I'm going to do, just to help save some of my memory here, I'm just going to close off these other images because we don't need them now, you've seen. That's right. So we're just left with this one. Right, so what we're going to do, back to the filter menu, down to sharpen more, and you can see what it's doing straight away. We'll just click on undo and redo. It's highlighted everything. It's too much sharpen if you was going to sharpen an image, but it's what we need to bring these pixels into their own. And then from there, this is where the magic begins. Go back to filter, scroll down, stylize, oil paint, and straight away there you have it, more or less. We're almost there. Now a little window at the side here opens up where you've got some sliders. This took me quite a while to get how I like my paintings done, if you like it. Trial and error. Now all these, I've made a note of these settings so I can go straight back to them, but I'm just going to quickly show you roughly what each one tends to do. You've got stylization, cleanliness, scale, bristle detail, lighting. It is all a question. It's just a matter of adjusting these sliders to suit how you want them, how you want your picture to look. You can see what's happening there. Reducing the cleanliness, it sharpens the image basically. It's increasing that, it's smoothing out those lines so you get more of a, but the more you do that, the less detail. You start to lose the detail, like in the dog's face there, you can't see them. So you can go from one extreme to the other. So it is all a question of just playing around until you get what you're happy with. Now if you look on the scale, you can see if you look on the background, it's really making a big squirrely circle really in the background, which you don't really need. You don't want that. The dog is the main focus of the painting. So it takes a while, and you brush detail obviously. It is just a question of playing around and get in the look that you're happy with. But like I said, it took me quite a long time and lots of different images to find the settings I want, and this is one reason I've made a note of what they are, because I want them back. So I'm just going to reintroduce these as they were. Just bear with me 1 second. 6.1, 0.8, and 10 on there. Oh, and the brush angle with 114 and 1.6 the shine. So that's basically it, believe it or not. It's as simple as that. again, it all depends on the individual photograph. Some things work better than others. It is until you try it, you don't know. I mean, I've tried many images and it just doesn't look right, so I'm not bothered with it. So, but do that. I'll click OK on that. The next thing I tend to do sometimes is I just get the, oops, that's too big, my burn tool. You can increase or decrease the size of that simply by clicking on the square bracket key. It's a quick way of doing it. Or you can go up to your menu. Right click is easier, and you can select your brush size from there. But just tend to gently brush over, just a little bit there. Right. Next thing, you go back to your sharpen. Now you will find sometimes the painting it probably a little bit too smooth. So, but this one it's not too bad. I'm going to go show you anyway. Go to sharpen, unsharp mask, not to sharpen more, unsharp mask. And again, pop-up window. This, if you just adjust the slider, you can see exactly how much or how little you want. With this, I'm not really going to bother touching it that much. Doesn't need much at all. And just click OK. Now, one or two of the processes I do when I'm doing mine, I use another piece of software, but I'm not going to show you that at this time because not everybody has it. So I'm just basically just using Photoshop and nothing else. More or less the same things, it's just different methods. Right, next thing I want to do now, I mentioned about a vignette, so I'm just going to go into Filter, into Camera Raw. If you've got the latest versions of Photoshop CC, you can go back into Camera Raw these days. Before you have to manually put it back up there if you wanted it. So I'm going to put more of a vignette on that. If you go across here now to the right, if you hover along there, look at lens corrections. Click on that, and again you've got some more sliders. Go down to the bottom and you'll see vignetting. I'm going to take that now by moving it to the left. You can see, oh, hang on 1 second, I've forgotten the process. Even I make mistakes. So I'm going to cancel that. Before we can do our next process, I need to make a duplicate of this layer. Now, not everybody likes working with layers, but this is dead simple, I'm telling you. It really is dead simple. Go across to your layer there, right click it, and click on duplicate layer, and it comes up by default, background copy. You can give it a name or just leave it as it is. We know it's a copy of the original layer of background. Let's put it on top, which is where we want it. Now, next thing to do, if you go down to the very bottom, the third icon from the left that looks either like a washing machine or TV, whichever you want to look at it. If you hover your mouse, it will come up and say add layer mask. That's what we want to do. We want to add a layer mask. Now that's selected. If I click on that, you can see there's a white border. So make sure you click on the layer mask. Okay. In fact, I'm jumping the gun again. God, hang on, just bear with me. I'm making a pig's ear of this, I really am. Go back to add layer mask. I'm just going to delete that. Two options of either making a cock up here and correcting it, or start the whole video again. So nuts, I'm going to do this. Right, we've created a background copy. Forget the mask for the moment. Now we go back to Camera Raw. Go back to lens correction. Go back down to the vignetting. And we're going to draw that over to the left. And yeah, I'm going to take it all the way over. And the midpoint underneath, by dragging that to the left, that sort of smooths it out a bit. What I'm aiming for is just to highlight the dog more than the background. It just tends to lift it from the canvas, if you like, a little bit. But obviously, I'm going to click OK at that. Obviously what it's done is put that all around the whole of the picture, which I don't want that as such. I want this bit down in the left corner without any vignetting. Now this is where the background copy of our layer comes into effect with the layer masks. Now we can put the layer mask on. So what I'm going to do now, make sure the mask is selected. I'm going to go over to the left hand side and select the paintbrush, your brush tool. Okay. Again, you can increase or decrease the size of your brush. I'm going to have a fairly large one there. Opacity set to 100, and I'm going to reduce the flow. I did this earlier at about 16 to 17%. You can do. The idea of that is to feather the edge of it really, so that you don't see any sharp cut-off points. And all I'm going to do, make sure to the left here on your colour palette, is that the black and white squares, that the black one is on top. I'm going to paint away the vignetting in this corner and see what's happening, and along the bottom, just there, and go up a bit, and make sure, if you want to see what you've done, you can see there. Now I've gone a little bit too far up on the dot there, so I'm just going to reverse the black and white squares. Just going to reduce my brush slightly. And I'm just going to do a little bit of that. Right. There. Now if I click on the top layer, on and off, you can see the vignette. In fact, there's a little bit on the corner there. Oh no, that's okay. No, it'll do. I'm happy with that. We'll keep it at that. And that's basically it. It's as simple as that. Job's done. So all you need to do then is flatten the layers. So you go to layer, flatten the layers, and then go to file, save as. What I tend to do, and I'm going to just put this somewhere temporarily for the time being. Let's go into my 2020. Just going to call it dog paint as a JPEG. Click save, and that's it. Job's done. Okay, sorry for the waffling and a couple of the mistakes, but you get the gist of the idea. Anyway, try it, have some fun, and let me know how you get on. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again. Bye.